everyone. Welcome back to the Girl of Gen Z podcast. I'm your host, Clarissa, and today we have our first male guest on the show by the name of Ben Leavitt. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to actually get to do this.
Of course. So how was your drive here this morning?
Definitely could have been better just because there's a lot of rain right now, but that's the kind of what you get with Canadian weather. It's kind of all over the place.
It's a transition.
So, absolutely. And plus, I have a pretty crappy car, too.
What do you drive?
An 04 Honda Civic SI with about 250,000 clicks on it. So It's seen some stuff. And there's like duct tape all over it. So every trip is a little bit of an adventure.
What's duct taped?
Okay, so I'm pretty hard on my stuff. I break a lot of things, and in the winter it's even worse because everything breaks easier, right? So I was trying to close my door, and the little latch thing's broken, so I was wailing on it, and I kind of ripped the door off of the door, the plastic part of it. So I had to duct tape it all, and then actually have to duct tape the little handle thing too. So
my god!
Yeah.
So when anyone gets in your car, do they ask what
there's always questions
every single time?
Yeah, but they're pretty used to it at this point. They're like, yeah.
And you don't see getting these things fixed. You're just going to run into the ground.
I like to rough it out. Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to ride it till it dies. For me, I'm not a big car guy. I don't care. I'll never put a lot of money into cars. So it gets me there, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, it gets you to A to B.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay. So you are would you consider yourself a content creator / podcast host / what else?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess a lot of lanes for sure. If I had to describe myself quickly, probably, I guess, content creator. But it's always been the content creation has been more of facilitating the entrepreneurial dream. So it was kind of like I just saw these people building these audiences and building these followings, and then leverage that into build businesses. And that's where my passion lies. But to get there, I think a better route, especially if you don't have connections or a lot of money, the best place is to do that is to build like a network type thing.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's bring it back a bit to your childhood and your upbringing.
Yeah.
So what were you like as a kid? What were you like in high school? Where did your interests of this stem from?
Yeah, so both my parents work for themselves, so I think that definitely had some influence onto how I approach things. I was the kid who was always selling stuff, always flipping things. That was definitely me. I was the kid who would try to sell like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, stuff like that. I was always flipping things. I had a paper route when I was extremely young. I loved the whole aspect of like getting money from someone. If you give them great service, they're going to give you money. Like that was mind-boggling to me. And then you could go buy Pokemon cards with that. Like the whole thing of making money really fascinated me from a very young age. And then from going up, I started numerous different businesses in like high school. We started a longboarding company, and then we would sell like jerseys to everyone in the school and stuff like that. So
like used jerseys?
No, so we'd order them wholesale from China. So then I would like group everyone together. They'd pay me up front, and then I get the bulk discount from the Chinese distributor, and then sell it to them once they actually got here.
I see.
Yeah, so
you did that in high school.
Yeah, that was grade 9 or 10, and
little youngin.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't let me use his credit card either because he didn't trust, like, what's this China stuff, whatever. So I actually had to get my buddy's mom to let me use her credit card. So I talked to her up. I'm like, hey, Barb, like, blah, blah, blah. I know I can make some money. Like, can you just front me the cash? And she did it. And every time she got her money back, and she was happy to do so. So yeah, you can always find a way for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then when you were in high school, were you at an art school or was it a public school? Like what?
Yeah. So like it was a public school, but it's in this little school in Oakville called Blakelock, and it's definitely like arts based. But I was an athlete through and through. Like that was my primary passion growing up. And I switched there in grade 10. So sophomore year for anybody who's American. And so they were never really good at sports. But then when we came, I brought a few guys with me, and then we actually became good at sports. So it was kind of weird. Like it was definitely an arts-based school, but it kind of became a sports school by the time we left. So,
okay.
So that was fun.
Were you a sports guy throughout the entirety of high school, or just?
Yeah. So football was, if you had talked to Ben 10, 15 years ago, I would have been in the NFL, and you couldn't have told me otherwise. Like I was going to play in the NFL. That was it.
That was your childhood dream.
I'm very stubborn too, so it's like this is what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, that didn't materialize. I'm not in the NFL, obviously. But I was definitely big into football. I played in school as well as outside of school, and that's a big reason why I went to university. Actually, was just to play football at the next level. So definitely big sports. That comes from my family too. Everybody in my family's an athlete, so it just kind of came that way.
How many people are in your family?
So I have 2 sisters, 2 stepbrothers, and yeah, that's the sibling.
Older, younger, where do you range?
I'm right in the middle.
Okay, how old are you again?
I am 23.
Okay.
I almost forget how old I am. It's so bad.
Did you just turn 23?
No, I've been 23 for a while. My birthday's in March, but I don't know. I just forget.
Oh, I'm in March too. What day?
15th.
Okay, I'm the 2nd.
Okay.
Crazy.
Close though.
Crazy.
Close.
So are you close with your siblings?
Definitely varies. Super close with my stepbrother, and then my two sisters, kinda. There's a big age gap. So my older sister's like 4 or 5 years, so that's not huge. But my younger one, she's like 8 or 9 years younger than me.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. So there's definitely a huge
Yeah, it's
divide
hard to have
there.
things in like common there.
There's not a lot.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So like I try to give her some help whenever I can, but there's one, she's a girl, I'm a guy, and then two, I'm a lot older than her.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, but we're okay.
Exactly. So how would you say your high school experience was? Was it what you pictured it would be, or did you think you missed out on like
No,
what it could have been?
high school was awesome.
Yeah?
I loved high school because I kind of just, I've never had an issue with like not doing something because I worried about what other people thought. So any opportunity that I saw that was there, like I did it. It's like I took a vocals class and I had to sing in front of a bunch of the school. Like I just never really
How did
cared.
that come about?
So there's a teacher who was one of our leadership teachers or whatever. And he said, oh, I'm starting to offer this singing course. And I would always sing in class when I wasn't supposed to be singing. So he's like, Ben, like you actually will get a credit for coming in to sing here. I'm like, say no more, I'm in. And then he also said that can be contributed to our university. So like all we had to do was sing and it was contributed to our university marks. So,
So
I
how
was
many
like,
people were enrolled in this class?
like 12. Yeah. And then he didn't tell us this going into it, but he's like, the final project is you have to sing in front of like this big audience. And I was like, okay, well, you didn't tell me that part, but
Yeah.
it went all right.
How was that?
I sang John Mayer, Waiting on the World to Change.
Okay.
So yeah, it went. I'm not a good singer by any means.
Did you get a
but
standing ovation?
by like a few of my buddies for sure. Because my one friend, Kurt, he's like my high school best friend, and he's like, before I went on stage, he's like, give me a shout out. And I'm like, okay. So right when I got on there, I'm like, oh, I want to give a shout out to my vocal coach, Kurt Schlobitz. So like got some people going for sure.
That's funny. Oh my God. Okay. So transitioning now to post-secondary,
Mm-hmm.
what was that like for you? Like, did you have a path and a vision of what you wanted to do? Were your parents like, did they play a super important and big role in that?
Yeah, I'd say like I was going to university from a very young age. Like that was just kind of the path that my parents
It was just
had
like an assumption. Like it was just to be
yeah,
done.
I always did fairly well in school, so it was just kind of like that's what we're told is what you do if you do decent in school. I wouldn't say I was super passionate about school by any means, but I think that the big reason why I went there was one, to appease my parents, but two, it's the only really place you can play football at the next level. So with that being my core focus, that was the only next path really.
Okay.
So, and then I knew it was by default, I knew I was going to go into study business because like, again, that was something that I also decided when I was like 10 selling Pokemon cards and stuff. So that was just kind of natural fit.
Did you focus on something specific when you were in there for business?
Yeah. So my major was marketing.
Okay.
There's two reasons. One, I figured it was the path of least resistance, to be honest, out of all the majors, all the ones that I applied to, which was economics and finance and then accounting, it seemed definitely the least dry. And I consider myself a creative person, like not in terms of like artistically, but conceptually artistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a creative, like I guess that comes with the creation of content and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I figured that marketing still gave you some of that while still having the business element. So that's kind of where I fit in there.
I always find it hard to describe being creative to a person because as soon as you say creative, they assume like artistically, like drawing and painting. You're like, no, like not that kind of creative.
No, exactly.
Like,
you get what I'm saying.
video creation,
Yeah.
like the story, how it's produced, directed, that
Exactly.
whole realm of
100%,
stuff.
because I can't draw a stick person. So it's like I have
Yeah,
no
same.
artistic ability,
Same.
but I definitely have like I need to have some sort of creative expression.
Okay. So when you were in post-secondary, which one did you go to?
I went to University of Guelph.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. So you went
Go
there for
Griffins.
business.
Yeah.
And you played football all 4 years?
No, so I just played first year, and
Oh,
then
wow.
unfortunately I had a pretty serious concussion that resorted me to call it a day.
Did that happen during the football game?
It happened during us before the season even actually, and then I tried to come back, and then I went to a concussion specialist because it was pretty serious, and I saw him for a few months, and then he finally cleared me, and he said, and this was, I couldn't get this out of my head after he said it. He said, Ben, everything that you're telling me right now, I can't not clear you, but if you were my son, I would never let you play football again. And I was like, why did you say that, man? Because I went back to and tried to play, and then I just kept hearing that play
Were
in
you
my
by
head.
yourself in the doctor's office? Or
Yeah,
did
it was
your
just him. It was just
okay.
him and I, and he's like, by the way, Ben, like, I can't not clear you, but blah 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 blah.
That's like a movie moment where it's like everything shuts out and you're like,
Yeah,
what do
it
I
was
do?
pretty traumatic. I was like, come on, dude, why did you do that?
So what did you have to do to like get better? Like what were your...
So with concussions, we know so little about the brain, and that was a very eye-opening experience to see that, because when you're young, like, you think you're indestructible, and you watch these kids playing. I can't even watch sports the same way anymore. I feel so old. Like I'm only 23, but I'm like, oh, watch your head. But it's just like, because we just have no idea,
Yeah.
and we're hearing more and more about CTE and all these things. I'm not sure if you're familiar with CTE. So
No.
it's like, it's this disorder that's becoming more and more prevalent. And again, we still don't know much about it at all. But a lot of older NFL players, after they die and they get an autopsy of their brain, they all had this CTE condition.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a big movie about it called The Concussion with Will Smith in it.
Did you watch this right after you got
No, I didn't want to watch it. I was like, I can't watch that.
Who told you to?
My mom wanted me to.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I don't know if I can, because with something you can't change, I'd say ignorance is probably bliss.
Yeah.
Like, I can't change the amount of trauma my head has had, so why would I worry about that?
Right. Yeah. No, I remember my dad telling me that certain hockey players in the NHL, when they would get concussed, they were literally told to like sit in like a black room, like pitch black, no music, nothing, so they could get better. And I was like, that must be so boring. And I just tried to picture myself doing that. I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's a super weird injury. One, because it's not one that you can actually see.
Yeah.
So for like, my dad's always tried to ingrain with me like being the tough football guy, right? But this isn't an injury that you can outwork. Like, there's nothing you can do.
Really, yeah.
Which is really unfortunate. So then like he'd come in and see that I wasn't doing anything. He'd be like, well, why aren't you doing anything? I'm like, I can't really fix my brain. You know what I mean? Because it's just difficult. And I think that comes with getting past the stigma, which I think a lot of people are getting there. Mm-hmm. But in sports, it was always like you got your bell rung. Not that you got a concussion. Like, just back yourself and get back on the field, right?
Exactly.
And now we're becoming a little more educated into like how serious that is and the long-term implications of it.
So what were your parents' reactions when you got concussed?
Again, like, my dad was very, very excited. The only thing we really bonded over was sports. So it's like when we lost the football thing, and like all he would ever talk about to other people was like, oh, Ben, like my son, the football player, right? So when that's gone, I think it was very difficult for him, because he's like, that was our means of connection. And then now that's not there anymore. Plus, like, when we're growing up, like, it was always like work, but you can't outwork that injury. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, it was weird. My mom was super supportive. She didn't want me to play anymore. She's like, no, like, you're done.
It's a tough sport. I don't know,
barbaric.
Man. Yeah, like, I think about having kids one day, and that's the one sport, and maybe even rugby. I don't know. Like, it's so tough on the body and like head. Exactly. That just, I don't know. That's a real tough call to make as a parent.
I would definitely still play football again, even knowing the injuries I've had, and I've had a lot of them.
No regrets.
But no, because of how it shaped me as a human being. Like, I know I wouldn't have the work ethic, even the social skills that I do, if not for the sport, to be honest. I think the only thing I would change is I would not have let me play so young. Because little kids, they're already naturally like bobbleheads. And then you're throwing on a helmet now. Like, that's super dangerous.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have let myself play until grade 9, like in high school.
Okay.
Because then you're a little bit more physically mature, and those are reduced a little bit.
You played earlier than grade 9?
I was playing grade 6.
Oh my.
And like year round.
Yeah, that is young. Mm-hmm. That is young. I remember, because I have an older brother too, and he's 24, and he actually also went to Guelph.
No way.
Funny. Yeah, for business.
That's amazing.
But I think he did football. It must have been grade 8 or grade 9.
Yeah.
Definitely like up there in age, but I think he only did one season. And he was decent at it, but my parents were both like,
no more.
It's just tough. Like, I can't watch I remember as a kid being like, oh my God, like going to watch in the stands being like, how is this enjoyable? Like, I can't imagine how my parents must feel.
Exactly.
Like, it's a good game, but to see the injuries and like all that happen.
Yeah. And
so quick too.
It is. And you get desensitized to it. Like, before I got serious injuries, like, you literally don't think you can get injured. It's crazy. And I was playing running back and linebacker, so every play I was like in the thick of it. I remember my mom telling me I had these bright red cleats, and she would just say, like, she'd always just look for the red cleats to make sure I was okay.
Aww.
You know what I mean?
Such a mom.
I know, because I'd be at the bottom of the pile always, and she's like,
searching.
You always got up, so it was fine.
Yeah.
And you just don't even think you can until it happens, and then you're like, wow, like, this is something that you can't just do forever.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about one more injury you had, I guess, or surgery, because I noticed when I looked through your YouTube videos, one of the most viewed videos was the ACL surgery. So was that from football too? So
that was from football, but I don't like to it sucks. It's from flag football. I'm like,
flag football.
Yeah, so like I just played at intramurals, so it's not even like real football. But I heard it coming back for a ball.
Oh my God.
And then it was so loud, literally, like, because the ligament pops, right? So there was no one within 5 yards of me, and they thought it was me hitting another guy's cleats, but it was my knee. And I knew right then, I was like, I tore something. Like,
something is really wrong with my body.
It's super loud. The wind got knocked out of me, and my leg the next morning, because I tore my ACL and my meniscus, both of them, was so swollen. It was the worst. I drove myself to the hospital. Like, that was.
And you're in Guelph when this happened?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was brutal.
You drove yourself to the hospital?
Yeah, because I was just like,
did they tell you not to do that?
I don't know. I ended up leaving anyways because it took so long. There's there's nothing we can do for you right now. But yeah, and
so
then
you just had sit in pain.
Yeah, for 6 months, because I probably could have done it faster, But that's the negative aspect of the Canadian healthcare system, is that obviously it is covered for you, but it is nowhere near as urgent as some of the other people who don't have it.
I always hear, and this is so terrible to say, but it's like, unless you're bleeding and they physically see blood, that they won't serve you first. They'll serve the person who they physically see the blood coming out of.
And it's the nature of it, right?
I know.
If it comes with the territory, like you have to take it like that. And so then when that happened to me, I was obviously devastated. And the first thing you do is you go to YouTube, right? And all those videos were just bad. I was like, this is terrible.
So what did you search in the search engine?
Pardon?
What do you mean? Like you
right
found...
after I injured my knee, I'm like, hey, like I want to go see like what's next.
Okay.
Right. So that's what. Let's get back to the YouTube videos. And I was like, all these videos suck. Like these are so bad. I'm like, I'm gonna make some videos, and my videos.
And mine are gonna be the best.
Well, there wasn't a lot of competition, so I was like, I actually can be the best because a lot of them were bad. So then I made the videos, and then, that was really what got the ball rolling. And I think that's what shifted my perspective, the opportunity that a negative situation can create for you. Like that was awful, but that's
you kind of flipped it into a positive
it's
thing.
what got me started with YouTube, because I'd always wanted. I think everybody wants to try YouTube. They're like, oh, it's so cool.
I've heard it so many times.
Exactly, right?
But it's like the actual commitment of picking up the camera or buying the camera. And
exactly.
putting it together.
Putting yourself out there, like that's a lot. And that was one where I'm like, hey, I now have a clear direction for some sort of content. Like there's no excuse now. I have to just go for it. And then through doing that, it just kept bringing people to the channel because so many people tear their ACL.
Yeah. So nobody really pushed you to do this. You just completely decided on your own?
I always wanted to do YouTube anyways. And I'm like, hey, this is the universe pushing me.
Yeah.
Like you have to do this now, because think about all the other people who are feeling just as crappy as you are right now because your knee is mangled.
Right.
And they're looking for content, and there's nothing that's filling that void. So it's like this opportunity was glaring.
And you have some decent views on those videos too. So I totally know what you mean by like, it's not a super saturated
it's super
thing
niche
to search.
Yeah, exactly. But people are going there with like high intent. So like they're looking for that. And because it's so traumatic, they're going to watch like 5 or 6 videos because they want as much information to make themselves feel better for the next, because it's like a year-long process afterwards. So like they are getting buckled up for a long haul.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So then what transitioned from the ACL type videos to your businessy?
Yeah.
Like what would you even call that genre or that niche that you found?
I guess it'd be businessy.
Yeah.
For sure. I'd say that's definitely probably where I go. I actually first started off doing like fitness stuff because I just saw the trend there, and a lot of the YouTubers that I watched.
Christian Guzman.
I loved that guy.
Yeah,
he was my dude. And so I was like, hey, I do that. I thought I saw the trend going, but I think the mistake that I made there was I do love fitness. I love it for sure. But I say, 1, I'm not the best at it. And 2, it's not like a true passion. Whereas the business, social media stuff, like that stuff that I know I'm better than the vast majority of people out there. And I'm also passionate about it. So I think that's where it just kind of went there gradually. And my advice to anybody starting YouTube would be throw stuff at the wall. Like just continue making videos about any topics that you like. And eventually YouTube will tell you where to go.
Yeah.
Like literally one video will pick up. For me, it was my podcasting video, and that has literally altered the direction of my content. It's made me money every single month only because I just kept making random videos of stuff that I liked.
Right. So when did you become monetized?
Over a year now, I think.
Okay.
But the people get confused about, there's like almost no money to be had in actual like YouTube AdSense for the majority of people's channels. The real money is your ability to navigate traffic from your website or your video to go make other purchases or purchase your products. That's where people are getting wealthy off of YouTube. It's not from, there's a few exceptions to the rule. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Graham Stephan.
No.
He's another like business YouTuber, talks a lot about finance and real estate.
Okay.
And his CPM is incredibly high, but that's all based off who your audience is. So he has like his audience, the average viewer is like 30 to 35, so they have a ton of discretionary income, right? Or they have a lot of money where they can spend it.
Right.
So they're worth a lot more than who would be watching my videos, which is more like 25 to 30. Like that 5 years makes a big difference.
For sure.
So the real money that I make every month is from affiliate links and different affiliate programs for podcasting things and Amazon.
So who are you affiliated with?
So a bunch of different podcast hosts, and I've done a few sponsored videos, and then Amazon affiliate links, because I'm talking about directly products in a lot of my videos. Whenever they go purchase them on Amazon, I get a small kickback between like 6 and 10%, depending on what it is they buy.
So did they reach out to you? You reach out to them?
So
a mix?
Anybody can be an Amazon affiliate. But the ones where I was like more directly partnered with, it was kind of a mix. Like I reached out to my new podcast host, Buzzsprout, and their head of marketing flagged the email. He's like, oh, this is too funny. Like I just watched your video. I was going to reach out to you. And I was like, oh, it's like that stuff just works. And then we connected, we had a call. So then now I'm one of their partners to host my stuff there.
That's awesome.
And then a few other ones that I just went about doing.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the YouTube algorithm. Do you understand it?
Well, I don't think anyone truly understands it.
Right? I was just going to say.
There's definitely, I think, a degree of randomness, but there's definitely things that you can go about doing it to improve it. Like I know, it's crazy to think now because it's like my most successful video, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I accidentally did things right.
Yeah.
Like you can watch it, and it's a future video of mine. I'm going to break down why that was successful. And it's because any really good video, they have a few components that like that's almost necessary to make that a good video. And the first being you need a good hook. If you don't get a good hook, they're gone. And the most important thing on YouTube is watch time. So if you don't get them to commit to staying around, your video will not go anywhere. So you need to get to the point and get to the point fast. And I look back at my podcasting video and I guess it was a good enough hook because the watch time on that is like 8 minutes per viewer, which is like absurdly high for YouTube, especially like that type of content. Like most of my other videos get like 3 or 4 and it's got like 8 or 9. So it's like, that's why it gets shown to so many people. Right. Like if you go to YouTube right now and type in podcasting, I'm like the 2nd or 3rd video with above guys like Gary Vee.
That's insane.
And that's the power of YouTube though, is because anybody has a chance. Like that's what drew me to that so much. Like, I'm a kid from a small town in Canada who I feel like I should be like trying to do what these guys do.
Right.
And YouTube gives you a platform to do that.
100%.
Like, look, I just made a video on a $400 camera I got from like Amazon used or whatever. And I literally didn't think anything of that video. And the coolest thing is you can go back and look at like I'm a huge stats nerd when it comes to all this stuff.
Oh, it's interesting, especially when it's your own stuff.
Exactly. You start to care.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly tweaking different things to see if I can get more favorable treatment. But you'll watch it. Like there was no views. And then randomly, boom.
It just shoots up.
And now it stays. Like, I'll get about 1,200 views every 48 hours on that video.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming that one's making a decent amount of
That
income.
one's making almost all of the money because of all the affiliate links. Like I mentioned a few products and so many people go buy it.
Makes a difference.
And then the best thing about those, because like once you get that one video, then you need to continue to make content similar to that. Because if you can get people watching more of your next video, so it's like you come up and suggest it and they watch the next one, that's triggering YouTube so that your stuff's really valuable, and anybody who's interested in this stuff whatsoever might be interested in your things. So that's how you're going to get even more favorable treatment.
Right.
And I wish I had done that earlier. Like I made this one.
Know.
I didn't.
You learn this all over time and through mistakes or non-mistakes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think a common misconception that people have is the subscribers versus the views.
Yeah,
way back when, I know, but and then now it's like the views are what's going to drive the amount of hours of watch time, which will help you become monetized as opposed to the subscribers. But then some people look at the subscribers and vice versa. But
I will say this for anybody who's thinking about trying YouTube, I think it's really, really important to try to get more of like a long-term plan as early as possible. Because I look at all of these people that have come through, and obviously you're doing YouTube for some sort of business goal in most cases. So your ability to maximize that exposure is crucial for your success. Like I just recently started building an email list, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. Why didn't I build this so long ago? Because then like you now have control over that email list. Whereas even on Instagram or on Facebook, you don't have control. You're building property on somebody else's land.
Right.
Whereas an email list, I have direct communication to these people. They now know, like, and trust me, and I can communicate with them whenever I want. And it's like, oh, I could have had so many more people if I had done this earlier.
Right.
So that's why I'd say a big thing is like, I've had to make these mistakes gradually. And anybody like who's trying the same thing, I think have that long-term path even somewhat drawn out so you can understand like how important that is. Because as you know, as a YouTuber, people are finding you every single day. Mm-hmm. But if you don't become sticky, like you don't make them gravitate towards you, they're gone and they'll probably never see you again.
Yeah.
So it's like your ability to do that. And I just did it through a freebie. Like I do like a little podcast checklist for any podcast video. You can go and like it's like linked there. And if they go click that, then they give me their email and I send them a list. And that's how you can build an email. It's super simple. I did in like a day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you think taking business at Guelph like tied into your YouTube now?
It didn't at all. I would say like
it's not one class that like you think.
No, I think business school is an absolute ripoff in its current state.
Okay.
It's an absolute joke, especially from the marketing point of view. I learned so much more from marketing through external education, like courses, books on my own, stuff like that. But if you were just to go and actually consume the curriculum they have for you, it does not prepare you for any real marketing job tomorrow. Not at all.
Oh my gosh.
Like you'll get in there and then you'll have to learn on the job again. So it's like, I would say like, and maybe this is just my major. I can't speak on any other major, just my own. But if I look at what I paid versus what I actually got back, it was a huge ripoff. Like the experience and all that was great, but like just going in and thinking what I learned from that class cost me $800. Did I take anything away from that? Almost all of them are no.
Wow.
Yeah. But I think that's more of a university issue and the macro perspective.
Right.
Education moves too fast now.
I know.
The whole system of creating a curriculum, this is going to be consumed for the next 5 to 10 years. In the next 2 years, it'll be obsolete. Like it doesn't make sense anymore, but we're still being taught that that's success.
Yeah.
So, and having my, back to, sorry, I talk a lot. Back to the topic of my little sister. She's currently going through that decision making. She's in grade 11 right now.
Oh, so that's prime time.
Exactly.
Like, okay, now you got to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life.
And she's really stressed about that. And
everyone is.
Of course.
When they're freaking up grade 11.
Yeah, it's top down. Like all the teachers there, they went to university, so they say university success, and then it creates this pressure on her. She's like, oh, I need to get into university. It's like, no, you can be totally successful and never go to university.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think, for what I'm going to do and what I hope to do, I don't think I needed university whatsoever. I have a full-time job as well. I only have that job because I had debt from school.
Right.
So it's like, I got the job.
It carries over.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I have that job because I went to school, but I only need that job because I went to school. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I fully see what you're saying.
So I think it totally depends on who you are. And it's also extremely difficult for a kid to know themselves at like 17 or 18.
Such a young age,
No one has a clue who they are.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think was a very unique one. I definitely knew what I wanted to do in like grade 6 or 7.
And what was that?
Being a host on anything. I mean, originally it was to be on The Social, which is the woman talk show panel, kind of like The View. It's the Toronto-based one.
Okay, I think I've seen that.
I just want to when one of them retires, replace them. But you know what? When I was talking to my teachers, and they're very entrepreneurial types, and they all, created their own feature films and worked with crazy big names out there, but they did it their own way. It just kind of inspired me to do the same, being like, you know what? You're right. Maybe I don't need to like go to that show and like work there for however many years at a entry level pay. And there's like 4 or 5 interns there a day, and you're not getting paid to intern there. So there's so many other ways you can go about it. So I fully see what you're saying. Yeah,
I think the internet made everything a level playing field, and that wasn't the case even like 10 or 15 years ago. So back then, I think, university probably was like a near necessity in most desired career paths.
Right.
But now it's like you can educate yourself with like almost no money. Like
everything's on the internet.
It's insane.
You don't need to go to the library anymore and get a physical book. I mean, you can, but...
Who does that?
Yeah, who does that? Who has a library card? I mean, I do, but I think I only have it from like registering to get it, and then I never used it. Just sits in my room. So let's kind of change pace to podcasting then. How did that come about? How did that interest?
So that was like, I honestly never even got into that hoping to ever make money or anything like that. It was just, okay, like, I have such a craving to know these people that are doing stuff that I want to do. But as again, like a small kid from Canada, like why would they talk to me? If you don't have a platform, why would they give you even 5 minutes of their time?
I know.
So it's like, unless you create that, there's no reason. Like you got to think about it. Everybody is naturally somewhat selfish. So if why would they do that, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, it seems like podcasting is probably the best platform to do that, because people love to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So and you can easily set it up online.
Yeah.
So I got to meet a ton of people that I would never ever in a million years have gotten to meet simply because of having a show. It's a foot in the door, essentially, is how I viewed it. And then it's kind of how things go. It's actually built everything around that thing, right?
Yeah. So how have you reached out to find guests?
So that's actually one of my favorite processes, like doing the chase, you know what I mean? Because it's crazy who you can get to reply. Yeah. It's actually insane. Everybody reads their DMs. I don't care who.
I know. I agree.
Everybody's reading through their DMs. And even the message requests. Like people are still reading those.
Yep.
So a few different tools. Like there's this app called hunter.io. It's like a Chrome plugin.
Okay.
You can type in any URL, so like any website address, and then it'll tell you who like the admin email is for that website. So that can be pretty.
How did you find this app?
My buddy, he texted me and he's like, "Oh, like this could be very helpful for you." And I'm like, "Thanks, bro." Shout out Saul. Thanks, brother. Yeah. So he sent me that, and there's also another one that almost no one knows about, and I'm amazed they don't know about. It's called Scrap. It's another Chrome extension, and what it does is it integrates with LinkedIn. And so anybody who has a LinkedIn account, it'll give you pretty close to their actual email address. And so that's far less busy typically than their DMs.
Right.
So, and almost everyone's on LinkedIn, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it's like that Scrap is a pretty valuable tool, but I would say still it goes down in the DMs. I think Instagram was the most pivotal way to actually get the foot in the door and start speaking to people.
Okay. How active are you on LinkedIn?
I was far more active before when I was in school because I was a campus editor.
Got it.
For school, like this position that they have. So anybody who's in school right now, go apply to that. They give it to almost anybody and it looks good on a resume. So go apply to be the LinkedIn campus editor for your school. There's probably no competition. And I think LinkedIn's a great platform. It's also, their algorithm is very favorable in terms of organic reach right now. It'll dwindle over time. But in terms of content creation, that's a pretty creative path. You can go there as well. Obviously, you have to change the tone of messaging given on who the audience is there. It's far more of a professional aspect to it. But I've seen a lot of my friends that have built like almost influencer status on LinkedIn, which is so strange.
Yeah, for sure. Who would you say are, I guess, your like best interviews you've had on your podcast so far?
Best in terms of performance, or like I enjoyed them the most?
Ooh, give me one of each.
Okay, best in terms of performance was Cody Warner. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him.
No, I saw it in your thing, but I didn't listen to that
so
one
he's
yet.
a YouTuber. His story is really, really cool. He was just like randomly, he's like, I'm going to do daily vlogging. He ran a video production company.
Okay.
And then he's like, hey, you know what? Like, I want to start vlogging. So he did that. And then
Canada-based or?
No, he's in the States.
Okay.
But he randomly got to do a video with Peter McKinnon, and then he just blew up. And I got him like right on that wave. Like, he was super nice to speak to me. We had a great conversation. And that's probably one of my best performing episodes to date, just because so many people were searching his name because they're like, who is this guy who was just on a video with Peter McKinnon? And I think, I don't even know if he had done any other podcasts before that. So it was just a right time, right place thing.
Yeah.
So that was a great conversation. Also a great performer. And then other ones in terms that I really enjoyed. Probably not many people would even know who he is, but Avi Grondin's his name. He's a marketer in Toronto.
Okay.
He just provided so much value. Like, he just had like tangible resources. I think a lot of podcasts, while like they're great for your mindset and everything like that, a lot of them don't provide takeaways. So it's like you can be inspired till you're blue in the face, but if you don't have any way to actually funnel that into action, what's it all for?
I'm glad you mentioned that.
And he was very substance oriented, like giving them true actionable steps, like do this,
Right.
which is so rare, because once you do that, these gurus disappear. Right? Like, once you give them the path and open people's eyes, it's like, okay, then now how do these people make money, right?
Yeah.
So he was like very forthcoming into like everything he learned, which is really cool.
Right. Yeah. When I first started listening to podcasts, it was definitely more of like an entertainment base. It wasn't so much to take away anything. And then I realized, you know what? Like, I'd rather listen to something that I'm like getting some educational purpose or a takeaway from.
Yeah.
So as I started researching and finding more and more and a lot more like female entrepreneurs,
Yep.
I started listening to podcasts so much more and was just a little bit more attentive to what I was even listening to
Yeah.
instead of just background noise. Do you
Yeah,
know what I
it
mean?
starts off, I think, is exactly how you phrased it, like just background noise. You're like, this is something to do. It's something to fill up the white noise.
Yeah.
But then you're like, you get hungry for it, like, as you get further
you're
in.
like waiting for the next episode, or they have
Exactly.
a really good guest on, and you're like waiting to listen.
100%.
To it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity there for sure.
Yeah. So how did you get someone like Jack Denmo on your podcast?
So I just reached out to him. Jack and I are boys now. I just reached out to him, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm up in Guelph all the time. So I'm like, okay, sure. Then from there, we built a pretty good friendship. Like, I've helped him out with a couple of shoots, and like he's helped me out. And we're going to be collaborating in a video coming up soon. And we're just going to, because he's actually building a course too. So he's going to drop that and then provide some value into how he built like a prank channel type thing.
Okay.
So a lot of people want to do that, but like, again, they get stuck on like what to do, where to start. So he's going to be creating a whole course on that. So we're going to do a little bit of like a teaser video on my channel.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. The thing I liked about his episode or like segment with you, I guess, is the information that he shared with like being banned from certain campuses.
Yeah.
And, like, if you guys aren't aware, like he does prank videos and like kind of Q&As on the street.
Sorry to cut you off. He's actually a lot smarter than people think he is.
I could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell in the conversations you guys were having, because not to like compare to Nelk Boys, but the Nelk Boys, who were huge on YouTube for a while and then got banned, they never really shared like their real like details on what happened and why and how they could go about it next time, which Jack's
transparent.
And it was so nice to hear and like refreshing that he was so open to being like, hey, like this is what I did wrong, this is how I fixed it, this is how I went about it, I did all my research, like this is what I did.
And I think that's where he'll always find success, is the fact that he's a valuable person. He's so transparent, and he conducts himself the same way, whether he's speaking to like an official from like the news or a staff member from the school. That's like crazy. It's just the same thing. Did you see his most recent interview on CTV?
I did. Yeah, it was on Instagram.
It was hilarious.
And he's so well composed. Yeah. And like, how? Like, you're a prankster. I feel like if it was like, again, not to compare, but I am comparing. It was Nelk Boys, like they'd just be going like buck wild. But he was so composed on.
And I think that's where he'll find longevity too, though.
Yeah.
It's because like stuff does get old, right?
Yeah. So the path you created for yourself after school, what is that now? Like, what are your side hustles? Yeah. I guess this is your side hustle, and you said you had a full-time job, but that's straight off school. How's that all working out?
Yeah, so I still work. I have a full-time job in sales, media sales specifically. And then I also run my own marketing agency, which I would love to eventually scale that. So once I can build up the financial backing to actually go and try that. Like I still do that on the side. I have a few clients here and there that definitely make some money, but I would love to build that and scale it. I think there's real opportunity in like what I want to do, and I think hopefully I can get to that. In terms of hustles, I'm also building a course on podcasting, so that'll be coming out in the next few months hopefully, and then just trying to scale up the YouTube channel. I think that's such a great platform to bring people in.
You're very consistent, I have to say, on both platforms. Like, I don't know how you do it with a 9-to-5 on top of that.
I wasn't for a very long time, and then I was like, okay, there's no more like, if you batch content, it's doable. I'm sure you go about doing the same way, right? Yeah. It's like, it's the only way to do it though. When people are like, oh, like make a video once and then get back and do another one, it's like never do that. Yeah. Batching is key. Yeah. It's super important.
100%. Do you pre-film a lot?
Oh yeah. I film like 4 or 5 videos in a weekend, and then that'll be good for like the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you just shoot out your weekend there by filming?
Oh, I can usually get them out pretty quick. But it's so funny going back and like watch my edits, because I'll typically film it all in like one sitting and then go and crop out all of my like speaking errors.
That's so funny. It's so funny. Do you wear the same outfit in each of the videos?
No, I changed my shirt. Okay. Because people will catch you.
I know. Little snakes.
Like, Ben, do you only have one shirt? I'm like, no, I have more than one shirt. Because I guess the first time I ever bashed, I wore like a white t-shirt for 3 videos in a row. And then this one lady who watched like all my videos, she's like, do you only have one shirt? So she caught me. So now I never make that mistake. I always change the shirt.
That's so funny. Okay, so what's your sleeping schedule like? Because
I'm a very bad sleeper. I
kind of got the feeling, because when we were messaging, you replied at like 3 a.m. and then you replied at like 8, and I was like, why is he not sleeping? Like, I don't understand. Like, did you not go to bed for 8 hours? No, did you wake up?
That was situational. I had to get a podcast episode out and a YouTube video out that day because I was going away for the weekend.
Okay, so pressure was on.
Yeah, and I underestimated how long it was going to take, big time.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes.
Because it was like usually, like I'm pretty good at just speaking randomly. Like I'll just say it because I know what I'm talking about. But in this video, it was all stuff that I couldn't BS. Like it was scripted lines. So it took like 4 or 5 times as long as my normal video, because normally I can just talk off the top. Whereas this is like, I need to say this because these are factual things.
Right.
So it was like I was highlighting the top 5 best podcast hosts. So like I was mentioning features of each. So I couldn't just like BS it, because it had to actually be specific.
Right.
So it took way longer.
And was that in collaboration with those podcasts?
Yeah. So I'm an affiliate for all of them.
Okay. So you really did have to perform well in that one.
Exactly. Because that could be potentially very beneficial for me.
100%.
Right?
You can't have acid there.
Yeah, exactly.
What else was I going to ask? So your weekend away, did you film any of that?
So no, I used to do like travel vlogs and stuff like that. And then I'll do some of them just on my own phone, just for fun and whatnot, but I don't really post those to my YouTube channel. I think I'll probably get back to that eventually when you reach the status where people actually care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but right now it's like that stuff's more just for like me and my friends when I go away. I used to post it all on my channel, but I think I'm really focused on creating like a clear reason why someone should come to my channel. Yeah. And then once that's reached a point where it can actually sustain itself, then I can pretty well do whatever I want with it.
Right.
But until that level has reached, I want to try to keep it a pretty clear path.
Has anyone ever came up to you that watches your videos? Like
only at school.
Okay.
Like at school, like, because Guelph's not a big place at all. No. So people would be like, I made I made a video about Guelph. So like anybody searching up Guelph would see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, a few people there. That's about it.
When did you graduate again?
April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was recent.
Yeah. I graduated. I was in a 5-year program because it was a co-op program.
That was like my brother, yeah.
So it was an extra. Was he in marketing too?
No, he was in. Can you name all the streams?
Yeah. So there's economics and finance. There is accounting. There is hotel and tourist management or something like that. There's real estate. And then there's human resources and leadership. I think that's all.
I think it was finance.
Finance?
Like economics, finance.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
He's a smart guy.
And his girlfriend did marketing.
Okay.
Which is funny.
I definitely had classes with them probably because up until like your third or fourth year, you have almost the exact same schedule.
That's crazy.
And then it gets hard. Like they get all the hard courses in grade
Right.
third and fourth year, and we get all the easy ones.
Right.
It was
It's
awesome.
funny
The
how that works
last year was an absolute joke in marketing. It was amazing. Yeah, because it's like all of them were. There was almost no exams. It was all like final presentations, which I like lived for. So I'm like, this is amazing.
I love that too.
Yeah. So it was just presentation, and then you're done. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Did you go to a lot of your classes?
Who's asking? No.
No.
No, I did not. And I'm not advocating that you shouldn't. I think it totally depends on your situation. For mine, I would go to the classes that they didn't post the slides. But otherwise, like, if they posted all the content, it was a bad investment in my mind to go.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back to consume the same information I could do in my comfort of my own room in 20 minutes. Like it's a
You
no-brainer.
live 30 minutes away from your school?
When busing, by the time you bus there,
Oh,
you walk to
true.
class.
But didn't you have a car?
I did have a car, but they had to pay for parking.
True.
Oh, it's cheap.
True. So you only took the car when you need to like grocery shop?
Yeah, grocery shopping, that's key. You definitely don't want to be carrying any of that stuff just with your hands or on the bus or anything. Yeah, and then I'd drive to school when it was night time, and I'd try to get my classes at night. So that way you're only skipping one long one instead of like 3 throughout the week, right?
You really have this planned
It made
out.
myself feel better. Plus, if you get one rule of thumb, go into the first day, find someone who you think is going to be there all the time, make them your best friend, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And then you
Good
help them
advice.
out,
It's
they
good
help
advice.
you out.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
good.
Got each other's backs.
Exactly.
So what editing programs do you use for like photos, your thumbnails, your videos?
Yeah. Thumbnails, love GIMP. It's a free app you can download to your computer. Jack Demo actually put me onto that one, so shout out Jack. And then I'm not a huge software guy. Like I don't love like all the creative design stuff. Like I'm pretty simple, plain Jane when it comes to video editing. Even
So what do you video edit?
I use Final Cut now, but I only did it because I was like, I feel like I should be using more than iMovie, but I'm like, for what I do.
But it depends. Yeah, it really depends what you do. Exactly. Because I used like Windows Live Movie Maker way back when, which was the most basic thing ever, like very, very minimal with tools. Then I moved on to iMovie when I had a MacBook, which was still okay.
Yeah.
And then eventually when you start to see more sick edits and cinematography type videos, you're like,
you get FOMO.
It's not going to cut it anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I got Final Cut as well, but it's a really expensive application.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay for all these like cool plugins.
Yeah.
So then I navigated towards Premiere because I found that I could do more on that.
But you pay for that monthly, don't you?
I do, but I get the whole package and I'm still like a student.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So I have the Photoshop, Lightroom, After Effects. I use all of them and they work so seamlessly well together. You can export one to another so easy that it'd be silly for me not to.
Yeah, I feel like once you go with one, you kind of adopt the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. It's the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So do you ever see yourself using any of those in the future?
Not a chance.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to the day when I can outsource my video editing.
So you don't like to video edit?
I don't love it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same.
I love making the video.
Yeah,
like
the whole creation behind it.
truly
You're
enjoy
doing all
that.
the talking, and then this is what I want. Do it.
Do it.
Here's the money.
I'm a big advocate in outsourcing your weaknesses, and I can video edit it, but there's people who are way better than that, and I wouldn't have to pay them that much, right? When you think about it, like the ability to outsource things. So that's something that I'm looking forward to doing soon.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Like something that will take me 3 times as long, and I know it will take you
exactly.
like
and it'll be better.
Exactly.
Like my videos will never be hard to edit. They're talking head videos.
Yeah.
So it's like if I just to do that though, I will have to improve how I film them though.
That's true.
Because the tedious part is going through and cropping it all.
Right. So how did you come up with the like early ideas of your videos, and how did that transition?
So, and I would say if this is a good piece of advice for anybody, I just have this running list of notes on my phone of like thousands of video ideas. Like if you ever think, like, there's inspiration everywhere. I know it sounds super corny, but it's true.
No, it's true.
Like I'll be walking somewhere and I'm like, whoa, like
that's a good one. I'll write
random
it down.
thought. Like these are like all
holy
videos that I still need to make.
That's a lot. That's got you for like the year.
Yeah, honestly. And I just continue to add to it. And I got different lists for like podcast episodes, YouTube videos, like all that different stuff. So I would say that's just, once you have that written there and it's started, now you're like subconsciously always thinking about that, and you actually have a place to output those thoughts.
Right.
And that's another reason why I'm not good at sleeping. I get the best ideas when I'm trying to sleep.
I was gonna say that because it's like you're almost gonna fall. You're in the half asleep, half awake phase. You're like, oh, do I go right down? Yes, because I'll forget it in the morning. Yeah, it's happened to me too. I'll be swimming in my like backyard, and then I'll like yell for my mom. My mom comes outside. I'm like, I need you to write something down for me. She's like, oh awesome. My god, what? That's
amazing.
Well, it's like you're gonna forget otherwise.
You will.
And, like,
it's so important to get it down.
That could be a banger video. Like you'll never know.
You never know. Absolutely.
So are you happy in the direction you're going right now with your life, with everything you've chosen?
That's a deep question.
I know it is. Like you have to pay off your debt, you were saying.
Yeah. Which I've reached that level. Like I've paid off on my school. Now it's just building a foundation to actually facilitate the true pursuit of what I would like to do.
Right.
And unfortunately, life's not free. It's actually quite expensive.
It's very expensive.
So especially like I'm gonna be like living on my own. You got to pay for all that stuff, right? So.
Do you still live at home with your parents?
I won't be in a few weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're going to be living by yourself?
I'll be living with a buddy. We will be living like students. We found the cheapest place we could find. And he's a fellow entrepreneur as well. And
that's so great.
Yeah,
and inspiring. You both will be kind of doing the same.
Exactly. Yeah. We've always been like that presence for each other. But now that we're actually living together, I think it'll be even more beneficial.
Did you guys go to school together? We
did. Yeah. We actually, we started a company together called Do Good Clothing and Apparel. Okay. And it was kind of one of those purpose-driven brands, like where you could donate stuff and stuff like that. But then we received a letter from a Do Good company in the States, like threatening us to shut down.
Oh no!
Yeah, I honestly think we could have won if we had money, but we couldn't afford it. Like they were saying,
students just came out of school.
Exactly. We were second year. We were in school.
Oh, you were still in school.
Yeah. So we started it, and it was going really well. Like we were getting some traction on the campus and everything like that. And then the guy who contacted us, he had a very big following on Twitter, and he just got all of his followers to ruin us. He's like, go call these guys fakes. He got like our personal handles. They were reaching them out. My business partner at the time, like my buddy I'm moving in with, was getting like death threats. It was crazy.
Did you guys know at the time though that these guys existed?
Well, first of all, this is why I know we could have won. I created the concept in like grade 12 of high school, and I had documentation that proved that I had that idea then. Plus our names weren't even identical. His was Do Good Forever, and ours was just Do Good. So it's like, dude, like you couldn't. He was bullying us. They were strong arming us, and
100%.
Unfortunately, it was enough for.
So it's still enough of a difference where it shouldn't be an issue.
It wouldn't have been. Like my uncle's a lawyer, and I asked him to like look into it, and he's like, no, you would have been fine. But at that point, our brand name was ruined.
Yeah.
Because he had like 60,000 Twitter followers, and we got
that's tough.
Inundated with, you guys suck, you guys are fake, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then unfortunately Sonny was not happy. He was pretty upset, and so that was the end of that one. But yeah, we'll be business partners again in the future, and hopefully that doesn't happen.
Okay, awesome. So that's what's happening. You're paying off your debt. Yeah. You're moving in with your buddy. Mm-hmm. You're taking eventually YouTube and podcasting full time.
Yeah, so I think that'll always be a portion of the business. I think that connection is very, very important. I think, again, as I mentioned previous, that the light bulb kind of went off that like it should be facilitating more of a business, right? So I think integrating my agency into it more has definitely been helpful. And I've landed a bunch of consulting clients that way, because people reach out to me and they're like, oh, do you do consulting? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I should advertise that more.
Yeah.
So I've had a bunch of social media consulting stuff that way. And I think it's amazing because YouTube is like a salesperson you don't have to pay. So it's like if you can make them sell something like a business, then that's where like that's the ticket, because then it makes everything worth so much more. Like every time a video ranks, every time it's performing well, like those are all potential leads now.
100%. And then, it's like a resume, an online resume.
Yeah, for sure. And then that makes people trust you, right?
Yeah, 100%. Are you pretty active on Instagram?
Yeah, less. I'm honestly like I help people build their accounts more than I actually do anything on mine anymore. As a personal brand, I've just kind of given up on the whole Instagram thing, and it's pay to play. Honestly, a lot of the times it really is. So I just kind of, I'm not too active anymore. I got stories and stuff like that, but I used to be really hyper obsessed with like, oh, I want to grow on Instagram,
Yeah, it's hard to grow on multiple platforms at the same time.
A lot,
like it's really hard to like, you really need to narrow down and focus on the one that you're trying to.
But it's ironic because a lot of the time, my work that I do with my agency is helping other people grow their Instagram accounts.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that I don't really do anything with my own. I just use it more as like fun now.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay, one last question. Mm-hmm. You have a little caricature of your drawing of yourself. How did you get that inspo? Did you get someone to draw it for you?
So I didn't directly. A former guest, Henny, He is a digital marketer as well, and he has a person on his staff that they do that. Like that's one of their skills that they have.
Sweet.
So he asked, thank you for having him on. He got me one of those things. So I was just like, oh, that's sweet. I'll put it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure. Go for it.
So what was the motivation to actually start this show? Because I know you said that you always wanted to be a host, but what was it that's about this show that this was the one that you want to do?
I think it's just having my own thing, nobody telling me how to run it. So I can have as many guests on as I want. I can do my own episode if I'd like.
Yeah.
And being able to talk about any topics without anything being like censored or stuff like that, because it is my own stuff. You know what I mean? No rules.
For sure.
In a sense. And I'm the same way as you. Like I love to talk. I love to just put stuff out there in my opinions, even though they can be kind of strong sometimes.
Of course.
I just I like having that platform to be able to do so, and it's like mine. You know?
And are you happy with your path?
Yeah, I am. I think, there's a lot I've learned, and working on my own in a way. Like I've paid people to edit my videos before, just because sometimes I'm sure podcasting and YouTube,
it's a lot,
and uploading consistently on both, and then you're like, hey, something needs to give. So eventually, I do want to be able to hand off my videos and have someone else edit them. I can edit them just like you said, but I know there's better people out there that can do the job, and I can put my time into doing more recordings and
that's how you grow,
and searching guests. Like I'm the same way. I love to search and find people, to be on the show. So, just having more time to do the recordings and the filming and the content creation, and then have the rest kind of passed off is kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you could do anything and money was not even part of the equation, would this be what you'd be doing?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That means you're doing the right thing then.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's like, I went to school for it, even though my school is more like behind the camera, the whole program. But anytime it was like, hey, we need talent. We need someone in front just to frame up for the show. I was like, me, all the time. And then my classmates were always like, hey, we're short actors. Like, can you be in it? I'm like,
that's awesome.
I guess so. Yeah. So it was always fun to break out in different characters.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Do you want to plug your stuff?
Oh yeah, sure. I guess I should do that.
Yeah.
So my YouTube channel is just Ben Leavitt. So first name, last name, Leavitt. A lot of people.
Yeah, I know another last name Leavitt, but there's no A. So I was questioning how to pronounce it at first.
Yeah. I hear Leavitt all the time, and I honestly,
it's annoying.
It is, but it's not. I totally.
It's not their fault.
Yeah, that's how it's spelled. It's it looks like Leavitt. There's a bunch of us with the A's out there. I think the difference is that Leavitt is a traditional Jewish last name, but with the A, it's not.
Oh.
So if you meet somebody with the last, I meet a lot of Jewish people that I disappoint because I'm not Jewish. Because Benjamin Leavitt is quite a Jewish name.
What's your nationality?
I'm Irish.
Okay.
And English.
Okay.
And a bit of Ukrainian. Okay. But people will be like, "Oh, you're Jewish." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Sorry.
Not at all.
Sorry. Yeah. But if you ever see someone with Levitt, they're almost always Jewish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Little facts.
Fact of the day.
And then your podcast?
Podcast is it's called Do Dope Shit, and then it's on any podcast platform. Pretty similar to your show. I like to interview inspiring people, and then that's pretty much it. YouTube, and then Instagram is Ben Leavitt _
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't forget to give the podcast wow, I can't even speak. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to the podcast and hit the 5 stars, preferably.
That stuff's really important.
Yes,
and leave a written review as well. It helps a lot.
Yes, Ben knows.
Exactly. Struggle.
And you can catch all the links in the show notes.
Perfect.
And
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
All right.